Captain, enemy ships decloaking off of port bow.
They're charging weapons.
Shields up. Red alert.
They're firing!
Containment failure detected. Warp core breach imminent.
Welcome to Warp Core Breach, Episode 12. On this episode, Nick and David create a new format. Griffin cozies up with some smugglers. Natasha makes her Shipyard Bracket Predictions. The faction report gets started with Klingons. And we all travel to the stars to discuss our top ships from the minor factions.
Warning. Warp core breach detected.
I'm David Montgomery, and here's my co-host, the Dina, to my Zephram Cochran.
Deanna! He wouldn't even talk with me unless I played a tackling with him. And then it took 3 tokens of something called time tokens just to find out he was the one we're looking for. I spent the last 20 minutes just trying to keep his hands off me. So don't go criticizing my TO techniques.
Time tokens? Time tokens? We don't have the time to talk about time tokens.
You're blended, alright.
Alright, folks. We're a little silly. It's after midnight when we're recording. But this is the dedication we have to bring this show to you. So, Nick.
Yes, David.
What is new with you in the Star Trek Attack Wing world?
Well, I finally got my hands on the Diaspora, the Xindi fighter ship.
Very cool.
Oh yeah, it's a beautiful little thing, and I can't wait to actually get into the Temporal Cold War, play that with my friends, and have some more temporal fun.
Yeah, I was not kidding when I said that is one gorgeous model.
Oh, no kidding.
And for all of you folks who play X-Wing as well, put that up against an X-Wing model. You've got a legitimate comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as for me, I got a package in a little bit early. I got the Future Enterprise and my NX refit in 2 weeks ahead of schedule. So
from Shapeways, right?
Yes. So kudos to Shapeways for getting stuff out early.
And also on that note, I got my AWAC sensor dish for the USS Phoenix. Thanks, Jonathan. Don Miguel.
Yes, awesome. So we have lots of cool stuff. I'm in the process of painting. I was starting to do that, and I had a little oopsie on my Future Enterprise and snapped a nacelle. But some epoxy has got its setting right now as we speak, and it's looking good. It's holding strong, so hopefully tomorrow it'll be all good to go, and I'll be able to start painting.
Brilliant. Glad to hear it worked out.
Yeah, it was touch and go there for a while. I was spending about an hour trying to get it all to set up, and I'm just going, oh, come on, hold together.
Yeah, if you go for like the ultra frosted detail level prints, they're very fine detail. They look great, but they are fragile.
Yeah.
So, once you get a good, reasonable coat of paint on them, they're a lot more durable. But one of the benefits of them being as fragile as they are is they're easy to manipulate if you need to like shave a little bit off here or trim it in any way. Like just a good hobby knife, and you can gently scrape off here and there, and you can add detail to it if you want. So it's something it's good to work with.
Yeah, these things look really good unpainted. Not anything I'd want to fly on the table quite yet, but that's always a good start.
Well, hey, if you want your own cloaked ship pack and you're willing to print them all up, they look pretty decent that way.
True. So yeah, we also got the Rotaran spoiled for us, and that's an interesting pack.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to go into too much detail, but I like the crew that's there. I like the talents. We actually got some halfway decent Klingon talents in a retail pack. Who would have figured?
And a Klingon-compatible Dax. Woo!
Yeah, I'll have more to say in a full write-up there, but there's some potential there.
Mm-hmm.
I find it interesting. We're getting some interesting things. I don't love the ship, but which is kind of sad because I love the Rotaran in Deep Space Nine. That was one tough ship.
Absolutely. And by the time this episode airs, we'll have not only the reveal for the Talvath, but we'll actually have them in stores.
Yes, so hopefully everyone will have their hands on them and know all the goodies of Dr. Telek Ramor and company. So
go Wave 19.
Yeah, it's actually looking like a really solid wave. Delta Flyer and Rotaran are must-buys for me. So
absolutely.
And that's not even the collector in me speaking. That's the player in me speaking.
And that's key importance these days. Is like anybody can just collect and buy the ships, but people that are listening to this podcast, you're players. So you want some quality cards that are actually going to make an impact on your game. And that's what we're seeing here. So let's keep it up.
Yeah. So for our main topic, we wanted to kind of muse about something different. We were talking before we started recording, and we kind of came up with this interesting idea. We said, what would happen if they did away with the 50-point rule?
Mm-hmm.
And you could build ships as big as you wanted. Now, a couple of caveats in this. You still have to fly 3 ships. And also for the purpose of our discussions, fighters and shuttlecrafts
don't count as ships.
So, if you do that, you end up with some really interesting ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So now, there's 2 different roads we have to talk about. One is in a tournament where you have a booster, and one is in a tournament when you don't have a booster.
Right, because starting with Temporal Cold War, we're going from 120 SP to 130 SP. So that means with a booster, you're looking at 90 SP for your constructed and 40 for your blind booster. And without the blind, that's a full 130 points to spread around.
I say we tackle the booster side of things first, because I think that might be a little easier to go down.
And the most common.
Yeah, more common. 90 pre-constructed means that you have to bring in 2 ships.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're getting your 3rd ship in the booster.
Right. And knowing that there's no guarantee you're going to get one that's going to be able to support fighters, you cannot just put one in hoping and praying you're going to get that extra 4-hull ship.
Right. So you have to have a legal list with your 90, and everything has to work from there. So
correct.
The thoughts there, right? You could very easily run double fighter and 2 support vessels with your remaining 50 points.
Mm-hmm.
You know, double Constitution is 40 points, and then you have double fighter as another 40, and you still have 10 points to spread around. You could go named on your fighters and have 2 points.
You do captains. Yeah, there's a variety.
Yeah. Or you can go like double ship and fighter.
Load up on a few handy upgrades, decent captain or 2.
Right.
Yeah.
You'd have, mid-30s on each of your ships if you want to keep them balanced, and 20-some points on your fighters.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's maybe an appealing route to take if you want to take fighters in.
Yeah, and it also wears down the necessity of the whole shuttle fleet build in order to get beyond the 50-point limit. So when we do see shuttles, they're going to be more for the creative side. Something that you're actually going to use it in the build itself, kind of going back to the Vo days, just without having it to be purely a hiding booster.
Right. Now, everything we've just talked about hasn't actually said do away with the 50-point rule. It's actually said, let's make fighters not count as a ship.
Mm-hmm.
So what gets interesting when we say do away with the 50-point rule?
Yeah, we're not getting to the point where we're saying, hey, we're going to have a lot of massive dreadnoughts out there, because there's still some restrictions in place. You still got to have that second constructed ship pre-booster.
Right. Go crazy, and you could end up with, say, a Romulan science vessel, or Romulan scout vessel, and a 78-point dreadnought.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that to me poses a risk. And that risk is attack cancellation.
Yes.
You might get your opponents blind, but that's about it. Because they can just wall up with their 90, and good luck getting through it. Because your other support ship isn't going to do anything.
And that's actually when swarming would work. If you did a dreadnought and they did a small swarm, you're going to suffer.
Right. You could also say maybe throw a balance and take maybe like a 70-point dreadnought or a 65-point, and then have like a 20-25-point support ship. You know, something like a Reliant, a Praetus, a Galler, even a generic Coronac. Something like that as a support ship. That to me is a little more intriguing. Because, you know what? I'll take a generic Coronac and then 66 points for a dreadnought.
Right.
That to me says, okay, I've got something reasonable there.
But the reason why I was suggesting Galler is you could go named and take the Kraxen with its ability to transfer damage to its own shields.
Oh, yeah.
And really play around with that. Maybe beef up your semi-knot a little bit, or help a weaker ship. Maybe help your blind.
Yeah, that would work too. Now, where things get really fun is when you don't have a booster.
Yeah.
Because here's where you can get insanely crazy, right? You could take it all the way to the far end of the extreme and take 2 scout ships and a 96-point dreadnought. Or no, a 106-point dreadnought. 130 as our total. Now, I don't think that's where you want to go because of attack cancellation. You're way too vulnerable to that.
And trust me, if anybody even dares try that, you know there's going to be attack cancellation en masse.
Right.
It's just going to happen.
You might get away with it once. You're not getting away with it twice.
Yeah, and don't even think about anything beyond that.
Yeah. So it's kind of that fool me once, shame on me. You know. But beyond that, it really opens up some very interesting possibilities of going like 70, 30, 20 for ships.
Well, here's something. It actually makes some things that weren't really viable before now viable. You could actually have a little bit of fun with DS9 or the Cube 112.
Yeah, though Cube 112 is still way overpriced and that needs to change.
Oh, granted. That's a major issue there. Adding 30 points arbitrarily was rather ridiculous. Well, I understand the desire and why they wanted to do that. It's just a step too far.
Yeah. Or a gigantic cliff too far. But
a nanite cliff.
But yeah, it does make Deep Space Nine a lot more interesting to mess around with. And you don't have to have a shuttle to do it. It makes the Borg cube more interesting. It brings back Tactical Cube and the Diamond and the Sphere into playability.
Cutting beams.
And I know they were trying to mitigate some of the rampant use of the Borg. And I'm not necessarily talking about changing this on a regional, national, worlds level. I'm talking about organized play level. And I know that organized play's always been up to the TO, and you guys can do whatever you want and change what you want at your venues. And what Steven does down at Da Vinci's DreamWorks too. He creates some amazing scenarios, and we're fortunate to hear what he has on a weekly basis.
Very.
And he's out this week with the flu. Sorry, guys.
Get well soon, buddy. Really what we're wanting to do with this is plant the seed so you can try it out, take the idea, run with it, see how you would deal with it, and maybe you'll come up with some other ideas to fine-tune it. And you never know, with the right amount of influence, might actually come up with a better alternative to the existing suggested format.
You know, I remember a while back, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, something like that, saying, hey, 150 is a much more interesting place. That's where swarms start to get playable. And it's where attack cancellation starts to lose its superpower.
Yeah.
And 130 is definitely a step in the right direction. Right.
Yeah, my venue, we've been playing 150 as our casual for a year now, and we found that a very effective way to get a lot of flavor out of the game while still keeping it competitive and fun.
Yeah, and I think we're at this point now where there's so many ships in the game that getting to 150 is not hard.
Oh no, it's so easy. Like, no matter what limit you set, you're always going to come up with like, oh, I wish I had 1 or 2 more points. You're always going to hit that plateau.
Yeah, and if you happen to hit a point limit exactly, you're like, okay, perfect, I'm not touching a thing.
Right. Or you always have that option. It's like, I want to go for initiative. Let's go plink this one upgrade. You've got that option.
Right, it's a great call. So, I think our notion here is just saying, hey, there are some different ways of working things. I find it interesting to think what else is out there. And I remember when they first announced the rule change to fighters and going, what would happen if fighters weren't a ship for the 3-ship minimum?
Mm-hmm.
And that really curbs their power. Now, we've seen weapon ports and upgraded phasers. I think that does enough, but maybe not. I don't fully know. I think that having them not count as a ship really does mitigate what they do in terms of being ubiquitous.
Yeah, until those upgrades saturate the market, they're not going to be very impactful. We need to see cards like that full-blown in retail packs. And we've got this hint of that.
Yeah, have things available en masse to whoever wants to get them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to happen, right? We've seen the previous boosters become available enough to whoever really wants to get a hold of them at reasonable prices.
Right.
There's enough boosters that are distributed to players through tournaments, and with this set of reinforcement boosters going on for a year, I think that's going to be the case. Now, for a couple of months, it's not going to be the case. They're going to be pricey, but I'd say by late spring, early summer next year, they're going to be out and they're going to be cheap.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I've done with my local venue here, Magic Stronghold, is I've asked them to order 2 booster packs right from the get-go, and if we need more down the road, which we likely will, as each one depletes, you order a replacement so you've always got it there ready in stock. Because I foresee the potential where it might be hard to actually get some of these blind bricks, say around spring, just before summer. You know, it depends on how much production they actually put on this. So it won't hurt to have that 1 extra. And trust me, you'll go through it.
Yeah, and you can always have a situation where more players show up than you were expecting because people are traveling in from out of town or just come by to say, hey, we got these boosters and I want to get one.
Exactly.
And they do that, and all of a sudden you only have 10 on hand and you got 12 people for a tournament.
Yep.
And you don't want that to happen.
So you might as well prepare. So you have a tournament, you end up needing 12, you've eaten 2 into your second pack, which you ordered, and as soon as you do that, right away you order that third one. You keep yourself going. It's like, do you wait until the last toilet paper roll is almost out or gone? No, you always resupply before it's gone, because you don't want to get caught with nothing left on the roll.
You make a good point, although a very weird point, Nick, and that's why we love having you on the show. All right, so let us know what you think about our proposed idea of get rid of the 50-point cap, make fighters and shuttles not count as a ship, keep the 3-ship minimum, and see what happens. And if you play it, let us know what happens. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
And on that note, we're going to toss it over to Griffin with his Smugglers mission.
Hi, this is Dave Griffin. Today we're going to discuss the Smugglers mission, which comes with the Quark's Treasure Shuttle and reenacts the DS9 Little Green Men episode, though not very closely. The Ferengi have 60 points, which they have to buy the Quark's Treasure Shuttle and captained by Quark with Nog and Rom, and a second ship of hull 4 or greater, essentially a Decorah class. The Federation get one ship, 45 points. There is a planet on the southeastern corner of the map, effectively Earth. The Federation deploys on that same edge. Quark's treasure deploys on the opposite corner to Earth, and the Decorah is within range 1 of Earth. The idea of this scenario is for Quark on his shuttle to fly to Earth, deposit Nog, dock with the other Ferengi ship, transfer his chemosite cargo, and then escape the northern end of the map. The problem with this scenario is, as I will describe, that it's boring in the first part of the scenario, and it's pretty difficult if the Ferengi player is playing correctly for the Federation player to win at all. So the special rules are that the Quark's Treasure shuttle has been sabotaged, and as a result of that, when you decide to move, you reveal your maneuver, you roll a hit dice. If you get a hit or a crit, you add 2 to your maneuver and treat it as a red maneuver. If you get a battle stations, it's no effect, and if you get a blank, you don't have to roll anymore. There is a slight bit of ambiguity as to what happens if you already have an aux token when you roll a green maneuver, which should remove the aux token, and instead it gets extended and be treated as a red maneuver. Does that mean your opponent chooses your maneuver, or does that mean you just get an extra aux token? That's kind of unclear. Now, there is an action for Quark's shuttle to deliver Nog to Earth, but it hardly matters because the Federation is prohibited from shooting at the Ferengi until they've violated the law. So regardless of what shenanigans they have with the shuttle trying to get rid of aux tokens or keep them from happening or resolve the sabotage, all of that is not going to disadvantage them in the combat because there isn't a combat until they actually transfer the chemosite. So regardless of what happens to the shuttle, the Federation player really just has to keep flying around after the Ferengi, trying to set himself up, while the shuttle slowly makes its transit across the board, finally gets near Earth, deposits Nog, and then the Ferengi player can either dock with the Ferengi ship right away, or it can fly both ships toward the northern end of the map and dock just before they go off the map. Now, another ambiguity of the scenario is that it's unclear whether they're forced to transfer the chemosite when they dock. It doesn't seem to imply that's the case. And if that is indeed true, then the easiest solution for the Ferengi is to go ahead and dock, transfer crew as they like, and then fly the Decorah with the Quark docked without transferring the chemosite toward the northern end of the map. And one turn before they leave the map, they transfer the chemosite, which allows the Federation ship to get one shot at them. And even a good 45-point Federation ship is going to have a hard time destroying a Decorah-class ship. So odds are the Ferengi are just going to fly off the map the next turn, and it's not going to be any chance of killing them. Now, you could take a Voyager and transphasic torpedo, but that would just be a pure luck if you manage to destroy them. Add to that the fact that you're required to have Quark on the shuttle. When you dock, if you transfer Quark to Captain Decorah, he's got an ability to discard his upgrades and effectively block an incoming attack. So even if the Federation got 2 shots at him, he could block the second one by discarding all his upgrades. And it wouldn't work a third time, or wouldn't work a second time because he has no upgrades left to go. But even so, you can see the problem for the Federation. So it's really not properly set up, not properly balanced to allow both sides to win. If the Federation is playing smart and if the Ferengi is playing smart, the Ferengi will just transfer the chemosite right before he leaves the board, and he'll be fine. And thematically, the problem is that in the show, they actually went back in time, so this isn't what happened. But beyond that, I wouldn't say Quark is beloved by the Federation, but they definitely wouldn't destroy the Ferengi ship just to get the chemosite cargo. At best, they would board the Ferengi ship. So I don't even think thematically it's all that accurate a mission. But still, You can see Quark's treasure out on the board, and it's kind of fun in that it's a totally different sort of scenario, but I don't think it's very well balanced, and I think the whole first part of the scenario is going to be pretty boring to both sides, as one side fights the sabotage and the other side flies around practicing his maneuvering. So I would only rate this at 1.5 to 2 stars, and recommend that you skip it. Thanks, and have a good time. One P.S. The rules are also ambiguous in regards to bumps between shuttles and ships. As you know from the shuttlecraft rules, shuttlecraft have the potential for taking damage when they bump a ship or they're bumped by a ship. One strategy the Federation player could use is to accidentally bump the Quark's treasure twice, destroying it and making it impossible for the Ferengi to win the mission. I would say, based on the rules, that probably isn't allowed, but it doesn't specifically say that, so I guess it's between the two players to decide whether that's a valid way to go.
And here's Natasha with Dude, It's Just a Game, a perspective on Star Trek Attack Wing from someone who isn't completely obsessed.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. It's Natasha.
And David.
And we told you last week that we had kind of a fun announcement project thingy to talk about today. So, well, a little background. In case you're living under a rock or, have a life, and you don't know, David actually has a YouTube channel called The Shipyard, where he's been provided the reinforcement boosters from WizKids, and he's done reviews on all 10 of them.
1,500 views, y'all.
Oh boy. So that's what he's been doing with his life lately, besides Warp Core Breach. And so today we're going to talk about kind of a fun thing we're going to do with those boosters.
Well, we're doing a bracket tournament, kind of like March Madness, except Booster Madness.
Booster Madness. Ugh, now you're giving it a name. So he reviewed them, and I sort of paid attention. I haven't read all of the cards thoroughly because, I have a life outside of Star Trek.
Hey, I have a life too. This became more important for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to do reinforcement booster versus reinforcement booster, no other ships, and a 2x2 board. And we're just going to basically joust with the different boosters and just kind of see what happens. So those of you that don't know...
Were we doing a planet on the board?
No.
Were we doing obstacles on the board?
No.
Fine.
It's ship v ship.
Okay.
Making people cry. Maybe we can put some kind of something on there for the championship match.
Okay.
Anyway, so the pairings. If you want more information about these, go to the Shipyard on YouTube and watch the videos, and they're very, very thorough. So the first 2 matchups are just to kind of seed out the bottom 4. So it's going to be Ferengi versus Bajoran and Klingon versus Vulcan. We're going to actually start recording this weekend.
Yep.
Which is, fun. The first one we're going to do is Ferengi Bajoran. How do you feel about that matchup?
I think it's going to be about 1 or 2 rounds of combat.
Yeah, if that. Mostly crying on whoever's playing the Ferengi.
Or the Bajoran, right? One of 2 things is going to happen here. Either the Bajoran is going to go big, roll a lot of hits, and the Ferengi is going to be dead. Or the Ferengi is going to do the same thing, and the Bajoran is going to die with 3 hits.
Well, yeah, because the Bajorans have no shields. It's very sad. But either way, there's going to be much crying. We will be actually videotaping, so there'll be video of me crying in the corner when I lose. So
or me crying in the corner when I lose, because one of those 2 things is going to happen.
Much more entertaining to see you crying in the corner.
It would be.
Okay, so after that, also this weekend, I think, we're going to do the Klingon Vulcan. And honestly, Vulcan should not be this low in the bracket. You people are hating on the Vulcans, and I don't know why. I love Vulcans. I see them coming out of the last seed. I don't know that I see them getting to championship, but I don't think they lose round 1.
Oh, you're crazy. How does 3 attack dice get through a cloak plus an evade token? Tell me that.
But it's Vulcans. Cool.
It doesn't matter. Cloak plus evade or sensor echo, you're in trouble.
They do the finger thing. And they say live long and prosper, and they don't have any emotions. It wins every time.
But they can't hit anything.
You know what? You have your strategic reason, and I have my cool people, best part of the movie reasons, okay?
Okay, well, clearly we've already set that match up. I'm playing Klingon, you're playing Vulcan, because we already have the grudge match.
No, we're doing a coin flip. It would be funny if you had to play Vulcans. I would laugh hysterically. Alright, so the next matchups are a little trickier. So it's going to be Dominion versus Mirror, Romulan versus Kazon, and then it's going to be the Bioship versus whoever wins Ferengi Bajoran, and the Federation ship versus whoever wins Klingon Vulcan. So Vulcan. I'm just kidding. So, unfortunately, for either the Ferengi or the Bajorans, Bioship's gonna pretty much wipe the board with whoever that is.
Yes, but there is one exception that I can see happening.
Mm-hmm.
If the Interceptor, the Bajoran ship, can get in alongside the Bioship, not get shot back, and get some crits through to the hull, get a stunned helmsman and or a warp core breach in there, it's got a shot.
Okay.
That's a lot of ifs. I don't love the odds. I think that's a Bioship 9 times out of 10 or like 95 times out of 100, maybe 98 times out of 100. But I'm telling you that the Bajorans have a chance in that match.
I'm gonna agree to disagree. So Bioship, I kind of see actually just kind of wiping the board until it gets to championship match. Yeah. Maybe not winning. I don't know. Anyway, so then the Federation plays either Klingon or Vulcan.
Okay, they wipe the floor with the Vulcans. Fed advances in that matchup straight up.
Maybe.
It's 180 arc versus 180 arc, 4 attack dice versus 3, and the Fed moves better.
It's not all about maneuvers.
Yes, it is. One-on-one, you have to have a shot. The Fed will get that, the Vulcan will not.
He's crazy, guys.
No. Now, if it's Fed v Klingon, I think that's a much more interesting match, and that's going to come down to the dice.
Dude, it's just a game. I've been needing to say that back to him for about a week now. So, I will say that, one extra attack dice and better maneuvering is not that much better. I don't think it wipes the floor. I think it probably wins, but the Vulcans have a chance.
Yeah, but you're forgetting the Lakota's named ability. Convert a hit into a crit and take an Ox power. That's going to put crits into the Vulcan ship or the Klingon ship, and that can be a difference maker in the game. Okay,
but dude, I have a life. I didn't read that. I don't care. All right, moving on. So then just the other two matchups are just straight up Dominion Mirror. I mean, I think Mirror comes out of that, but Dominion has a solid chance, but I think Mirror just takes it.
Mirror has better attack dice, the ability to cloak, target lock, but Dominion has a 360 shot. So, and a higher captain skill. I honestly think it's a coin flip match.
Which is good.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to who gets shots when the other doesn't. And that may lean towards the Dominion. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Alright, so the last matchup in this bracket row thing. If you don't know, if you can't follow what we're talking about, there is a picture on the Shipyard page of this bracket, if you are like thoroughly confused. So the last matchup here is Romulan Kazon, and I'm going to shock the world by throwing my sleeper vote to the Kazons. I think if anybody upsets and just throws everybody off and comes out of this as the winner and, you know, makes a lot of people cry, I think it's going to be Kazon.
Yeah, me too. The Kazon are underseeded and the Romulans are overseeded.
Yeah.
And if March Madness has taught me anything, that is a recipe for an upset waiting to happen.
Well, and they only have, 2 to get to the championship match, and if they're fighting the Bioship, I mean, they have a solid chance.
Yeah, it's not even that. It's just, I don't see the Romulans doing anything with their weapons, and I think that the Kazon have enough to be able to hurt the Romulans. The Kazon have battle stations to give them dice quality, so the Romulans' tech that gives them better cloak doesn't help them enough here.
So I think if Bioship faces off against the Kazons, that could be an interesting fight. If the Bioship faces off against Federation, Bioship wins.
Oh, yeah. I think the only things that give Bioship a problem are Mirror and maybe the Kazon.
Yeah, but Mirror, I don't know. I mean, Mirror and Bioship face each other directly out of or into the next bracket. So after the Bioship faces whoever, and then the Mirror faces the Dominion, if they both win, they face each other. And that might be the one place where Bioship doesn't actually hit the championship match. But I just don't see it. I don't see Bioship not getting to top. I just don't.
Well, but if we're looking for things that can upset the Bioship,
Sure.
to stop them from winning the whole thing,
Sure.
I think those are the only two that really have a chance.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to see Kazon take Romulan, but I'd also like to see Romulan come out of a match alive. Be great.
Sure, and I think that they would have done it against most of the other ships except the Kazon. I think they got a bad draw.
It happens.
It does. Like, that's the thing. If we go and we reseed this whole thing, I think we get a whole different set of matchups. So, yeah, to wrap it up, my picks. I'm taking the Interceptor, the Klingon in the wild card matchups. I'm going to take Bioship, Mirror, Kazon, Fed, and then I'm going to take Bioship playing Kazon and Bioship to win the whole thing.
Sure. I'm going to say either Bioship or Kazon wins. I'd love for the Kazon to actually win. I'm going to say Federation comes out good. I'm going to say Mirror comes out. Although, I don't know. I don't know about Dominion. Honestly, that's the one I know the least about. So I'm not going to lie. I'm saying Mirror because I know more about it. I think Bajoran wipes the floor with the Ferengis, and I think the Vulcans are going to take the Klingons. But I think overall, it's going to be either Bioship or Kazons or Feds as the top. That's my three. So just real quick, let's talk about how this works. So every match we will have previously just flipped a coin or done some other way to decide who takes what, and the 40-point build will be done already before we start recording. They'll be posted on the Shipyard YouTube channel. So I really hope you guys watch that. You'll get to see a lot of us bantering and annoying each other, and there'll be much crying.
And trash talking and the I gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, you pulled that maneuver. Why? Yeah.
He's starting early. So I really hope you guys tune in, watch that, join us for this adventure as we try to figure out what's the best reinforcement booster. Either that or who can fly the best. But until so that'll be starting soon. So hope to see you. We'll keep doing Warp Core Breach and Dudish Game and all that. But thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Until then, remember, dude, it's just a game.
Good evening, and welcome to the Faction Report, the segment that brings you the inside scoop on all the factions. We'll show you how they really work, expose their weaknesses, find innovative combinations, and help you make them work better. And now here's your host, the man who is not Picard, David Walton.
Of all of the different factions that are available in the game at the moment, the faction that matches in the game best what it did on screen are the Klingons. They are the ultimate warriors. They are the fleet more than anyone else that is interested in hitting you at as hard as possible. I have read and had discussions with people about Klingons in which they say, oh no, Klingons do other things much better. But as a starter player, if you were coming into the game and you wanted to pick up a fleet where it was relatively simple to understand what to do with them, I think Klingons have a big part to play in that. So, Klingons, attacking. Let's see what we can come up with. If you're playing in the 3-ship, 50 points per ship, or no more than 50 points per ship meta, it's relatively easy to do 3 ships that have both rerolls on attack and battle stations conversions. And the way I would do that is with 3 captains. The first is Worf from the Karaga. He's captain skill 5, so there are a few captains who are going to go higher in the action order than Worf will, but he is still a reasonably good mid-tier captain. 5 and 6 tends to be the mid-average of captains. Worf lets you reroll all of your blank attack dice once. Now, that's a little bit of a disadvantage, because it means you can't re-roll your battle stations. If you roll all battle stations, that's a problem. But if you pair Worf with Nagarin, who comes from the same Karaga expansion, she allows you to do battle stations conversions. So there you've got a ship that re-rolls blanks and converts battle stations, with one of those battle stations conversions being converted into a crit. Put him on a Vulture. It's about 33, 34 points. And you've got a ship that's going to cause a great deal of damage. Now, it's only one ship of the 3 in the fleet, and the next thing I would go for is Kargan. Now, Kargan is a captain that came with the Matter of Honor prize pack. He allows you to take a target lock as a free action for the cost of an auxiliary power token if you've performed an action listed on a Klingon upgrade that turn. So, in this case, you take Drex, who does exactly the same thing as Nagarin, and you put him on the same ship as Kargan. Drex is the action you take as the ship's action, and then Kargan triggers off that to give you both target lock and battle stations conversions. Very easy done, and you've got another 5 dice attack ship if you stick him on a Vulture class. 34 points. Great attacking quality, great attack in general. Brilliant. Job's a good one. Now, the third ship's a little bit more difficult to do, and a lot of the time my third ship doesn't do the same thing, if I'm honest, but I might suggest you have a look at Core. Now, there are 2 cores. The first core was Core 6. He is a defensive captain. He is a captain that encourages other people to attack you. And then there's probably the less talked about Core 8. It costs 5 points. Now, Core 8 allows you to re-roll one of your attack dice for each undisabled crew member that you have on your ship. He also adds a crew slot. So basically, if you put him on a named version of either the Negvar or the Vulture class, then he gives you 3 re-rolls if you've got 3 crew on there. Now, it doesn't really matter which crew you put on there, but I would definitely advise you that one of those crew be Alexander, who also comes from the Karaga expansion. What Alexander does is, when there is some damage to your hull, he allows you to place a battle stations token against your ship, essentially for free. If you're taking a fleet captain, and it's one of the fleet captain upgrades that allows you to take a free elite talent, I might suggest that the elite talent that you put on Core is Defense Condition 1 or the brand new Alert Condition 1. In a situation where you haven't got any damage to your hull yet, hence you're not getting any battle stations from Alexander, having one or maybe even both of those cards at your disposal is a great way of giving you the battle stations token that you need before you take any damage. With the rerolls from Core, okay, it's only 3 rerolls, it's not full rerolls, but it's 3 rerolls that don't require you to be target locked to do them. You've then got 3 ships, one with Core, one with Worf, one with Kargan, that have target lock or the equivalent, and battle stations or the equivalent on their attack dice. And that is a fleet that, as a beginner, very easy to pick up, very easy to play, and does an awful lot of damage. I think next time I'll talk a little bit more about some other interesting things you can do with Klingons, but for now, as a basic starter introduction to the Klingon fleet, I'd suggest you go out, you get a Negvar, the starter, the Karaga expansion, and you basically have all that you need to cause people quite a lot of trouble. But I don't really know what I'm talking about here, because I am not Jean-Luc Picard.
And now it's time for the Warp Core Breach Top 3. We count them up from 3 to 1, and then we toss it over to our contributors, so you get the best bang for your buck. This week's Top 3, Best Ships from the Minor Factions.
We'll throw out our 5th ranked ship. Mine was the independent Valjean. The Valjean's just a great evader.
And my honorable mention / number 5 was the Vulcan Taukir. I just love the way that it interacts with auxiliary power and damage mitigation. So, for our list proper, we found that we had a lot of overlap.
Our lists were virtually identical.
Yes. Our 1s and 2s are identical.
Our 3rd and 4th place got flipped.
Yes. So, Nick, what's your 3 and my 4?
Well, my number 3 is the Bajoran Ratosha. It's a great support ship. Really well done if you have the free target lock Kira on it. And it worked so well with my Deep Space Nine and similar Bajoran-fed builds that I can't not include it. And the pack itself added so much.
Absolutely agree. Another way I like running the Ratosha is without Kira and throw on the Bajoran captain that gives you an extra crew slot and then run triple Bajoran militia on it, and then it's a Bajoran ship in and of itself.
Yes, and that's what makes the faction a viable one right there.
Yes. So there's both in-faction and like ship pure synergy in that ship, and I love it for that reason.
Oh yeah, I still need to go out and buy another one. I really do.
I had to buy another one because we forgot assault vessel upgrade last tournament, but I wasn't sad at all about buying another one.
Unlike my poor choice when I picked up a second Kazon Raider, only to completely epically fail.
Well, you never know. That might actually come in handy someday.
Oh, it will. It will. The upgrades were definitely handy. It's just, for that day, it did not work in my favor.
I understand how that goes.
Go back through some of our earlier podcasts when we were covering QOP2, and you'll hear a bit more.
Yeah. The QOP series was not kind to either of us.
I did really well on one of them.
Oh, as did I, but I think my overall record for Q was something like 3 and 6.
Wow.
So, yeah, I was happy to put it behind me. So my number 3 and your number 4 is the Alpha Hunter.
Booyah.
And Herojans are awesome. And I know that there's more to it than that. But being able to sensor echo, only as a 1, but sensor echo for free, even if you're not cloaked, is such a huge advantage. Also, they have 2 tech slots, and with only 3 hull, they get improved deflector screens without a penalty, because they are an independent ship. And that is a huge boost to their durability. So this is a ship that isn't always going to be a primary target, but it is a super support ship, and I love that about the ship.
With teeth.
Yeah, with teeth. 4 attack dice, it gets battle station, it gets target lock, it's got that free sensor echo to get in position or out of a bad position. It can really do a lot of work.
You could be throwing 6 dice. You got car and you've got stalking mode.
Yes.
And it's all not only pretty much pack pure, but faction pure right in of itself. You just throw on the improved deflector from your Gorn, you're laughing.
Yeah, that doesn't mean it's impenetrable.
No.
But once you take a hit, you've got 7 total durability, which means you're not getting one-shotted. And
that's the key.
Exactly. So it's a ship that's going to keep on going, and that is such a big thing. Now, you're probably looking at spending about 40 points on the ship, but in the new era we're on, you're probably bringing in 2 ships, a 50 and a 40. Well, this makes a really nice 40-point ship.
Oh, tasty.
So I'm all for it.
Hear, hear. All right, our collective number 2s. We've got the Kazon Relora Sankur. Basically, it was the pride of the Resistance's futile blind boosters. You know, like, if you're playing in one of those Rift tournaments and you pull the Kazon ship, you know you've got a good shot. Even in Constructed, the Kazon may not be the most powerful or have the most options, but a 4-1-5-3 with some decent green maneuver options that when it does so can throw yet another attack die, you're throwing 5 dice. That's putting it up there in the caliber with like the Prometheus and the Enterprise E, and only a notch down from the Borg and the Bioship. And it's got 8 durability. Come on.
Plus, it's got a 180 arc and battle stations.
Yep.
So, you're looking at better quality than the Borg and the Bioships inherently.
And the Riemann Warbird.
And a better firing arc than the Sovereign and the Prometheus class built in. Now, there's more upgrades you can do with those ships to get them where they need to go. But this is a ship that at one point was in my top 10 all-time ships.
And it's only 26 points.
Yeah, it's fallen down a little bit from that top 10, but it's still in my top 20. I still say this is one of those ships that people should never be surprised by. I can put it out there just as a generic ship, just as the Relara Sinker with nothing else on it. Give me a captain for some decent skill. But that's it. I can spend about 30 points on it. And I will be happy.
In a pinch, you can do the Kazon Shuffle.
Yeah. But I don't even need to do that, right? I can do enough green banks and stuff and just get into my arcs, kind of do what I like to do with Keldon classes. Because they have the 180 arc, they have so much coverage. And just wreck face. And this is a ship that lets me do it. I love the Valdor in the opening game. And this does what the Valdor does better. It's got a bigger arc. It's got better quality. And
float like a butterfly, sting like a Tyrna.
There you go. So, yeah, that's the Relara Sinker. And the only reason it's not my number 1, and the only reason it's not Nick's number 1, is because Wave 18 gave us Quark's Treasure.
Ding, 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 ding. We have a winner.
And Quark's Treasure, well, I think most of what there is to say about Quark's Treasure has been said, but we'll try to sum it up here. It is the ship that changed the game in terms of penalty pure, made everyone reevaluate it, either ban Quark's Treasure or change their definition of penalty pure. And what it does for unlimited play is nothing short of blow the doors open and allow just about anything to happen. And that is really, really cool.
It's a small ship with lots of options, limited penalties. You don't take the Ox token for docking or launching, and it's for a limited speed ship, it can move in just about any which way. It doesn't take much to make this ship effective.
No. It is pretty much what it needs to be straight out of the pack. And it can actually do some damage if it has to fire. Now, if you're playing it right, it should probably never have to take a shot. But if you're forced into a situation where it does, 2 attack dice means that it has a chance to do some damage.
Hey, it can help peel a layer or 2 off of a fighter.
Yeah, it can put some damage on a Borg ship. And those are things never to discount.
No. All it has to do is get in there and fire before they do.
Oh, even if it fires after they do, as long as it didn't blow up.
As long as it wasn't the prime target.
Yeah.
So if you can draw fire and get that puppy in there, it's going to do some damage.
Yeah. So, Quark's Treasure, yes, it's a shuttle, and so maybe it shouldn't count, but if you want to discount Quark's Treasure, we gave you our top 3 without it. But it's really good, and it changed the game more than any other ship. So, there you go.
The original owner of Quark's Treasure was Gala, Quark's cousin, and he was an arms dealer. So, do you really think Gala would have a shuttle that wasn't worth its salt? Or you really think Gala wouldn't have a shuttle that wasn't worth its weight in latinum?
No, not at all. Now, did we ever see Gala on Deep Space Nine?
We did. He was the one that actually was successful enough to buy his own moon. He was in, 2 episodes, I believe. Civil Defense and Way of the Warrior.
Okay, now I remember. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, at some point all Ferengis start to look the same.
Actually, I think he's in 3.
I'm specious. Just shoot me now.
You gotta have the lobes for it.
I have the lobes for empire building, not so much for profit.
All right, contributors, to your marks. Top 3, 2, 1, go!
Hey everyone, it's Natasha from Dude, It's Just a Game. My top small faction ship is actually one that was a reinforcement booster. It's the Talkir. I pulled that on one of my first 5 or so OP tournaments, and it's a really great ship. I really love it for the named ability, which is to negate a damage and take an Aux token, which is really, really great for a reinforcement booster. But it also came with Power Grid in that pack. So in your blind build, you could have, negate a damage for an Aux token, and then don't take the Aux token, disable the card. And so it was such a great combo, and it worked out so well. If I had to choose one ship from all of the small factions, that would be it. So, it has a lot of really great upgrades on there too. A lot of other great upgrades. So, check that one out if you get time. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
I really like the smaller factions, and choosing a ship to name as my favourite ship from all of the smaller factions was quite difficult. I thought about maybe the Gavroche, I thought about maybe the Valjean, the Time Ship, the Oglarazek and the Relora Sankor, but eventually I came down and I thought the ship that I really like is the Ratosha. It's not the greatest ship in the world in terms of stats. The basic ship is 2232. But with Assault Vessel upgrade, with Krim, with some Bajoran militia on it, and with Kira somewhere else in the fleet, it becomes an absolute nightmare to deal with. It can have a target lock, it can have the militia action, and the battle stations, if it's in the right place, all on the same turn. And then you've got a 6 dice attack from the tiniest little ship that you wouldn't expect. And I quite like that. So the Ratosha is the top ship from the little factions for me.
Hello everybody, Innkeeper here from the Wandering Inn. Favorite ship from the minor factions? Going to have to be the Ferengi Kreatia. Essentially, it's a Decora class, of course, but it has the named ability for the ship is much like a target lock. The more damage an opponent's ship has, the more rerolls you can get on the attack dice. And rolling 3 attack dice, not bad. And as well, Marauder, the elite talent. If you disable that card, you get battle stations as a free action. Not bad, simply because the creature does not get battle stations. The Marauder ability is very handy. Acquisition, you can steal an upgrade from an opponent as long as it's not Borg. Really fun to do, especially if they're really, using it as a crutch, like Dorsal Phaser Array. Just steal it right from underneath their nose, and it could cripple a few good ships while at it. Missile launchers for the Ferengi, pretty good. Couple of dice. Critical hits go through shields. EM Pulse, gotta love this card too. If a ship's not in the forward firing arc of you, you may disable this card and place an auxiliary power token beside the target ship. And it rolls 2 less attack dice this round. So it's kind of handy if you're fighting against Borg and have to fly away. You do a flyby or something, you can do an EM Pulse. It's not going to do much against the dice, but it's still 2 less, and an auxiliary. Pretty good. And the final good one, there's a lot of other cards in this, but the final good one I'll go over is the tech upgrade, Ferengi Probe. If you perform a scan action, you get to double your combat bonuses. So that is a 2 dice at range 3 for defense, and 2 dice at range 1 for attacking. So a lot of these cards seem to work really well together in this kit, and that's why I really like it. This is what I feel that a good Ferengi ship will be, as well as just all the cards just seem to match together. So that's my choice, the Ferengi Kreatia.
Hello everybody, this is Aaron Percival. and I'm here today to tell you my favourite ship from any of the smaller factions. Now, I struggle between two. The first of which is the Kazon Blind Buy from Resistance's Futile, the Relora Sankor, and the second one, which I ultimately went for, is the Alpha Hunter. Now, for a small ship, it packs quite a punch, coming in with stats of 4-2 with 3-4. 7 health is a bit on the squishy side, but with those 4 dice and its named ability, really helps give it a punch. Its named ability is free sensor echo after you move, which helps you keep out of the way and hopefully not get shot, so that 7 health doesn't matter. I've certainly used it several times in mobility related fleets, and the pack as a whole is probably one of my favourite retail packs as well. Yeah, that's my favourite. Thanks.
Awesome choices, guys. Thank you so much. As you can see, we had a couple less contributors than normal, and that's going to happen from time to time. Some people don't want to chime in. Some people have life getting in the way. That's what happens. Now, I do have one thing to own up to. In episode 11, I made a slight goof. I had a segment from Dave Griffin, and I completely forgot that I actually had it. So, after the credits roll, I am going to have that in instead of a blooper, because, well, it is a blooper that I forgot it. So, please stay tuned. Hear what card Dave Griffin would put into the game if he could design any upgrade for Star Trek Attack Wing. It's a great pick.
Warp core breach in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
And until next time.
4.
This is Nick.
3.
And this is David.
2.
Ejecting the
1.
core.
Warp core ejected.
Warp Core Breach is produced by Nick Norris and David Montgomery, with additional content from our contributors. Our computer is voiced by Corinne Donnelly.
Warp Core Breach is not endorsed, sponsored, or affiliated with CBS Studios Incorporated or the Star Trek franchise. All Star Trek trademarks and logos are owned by CBS Studios Incorporated.
All sound files are used under Creative Commons 3.0 by attribution. For specifics, please visit our Facebook page by searching Warp Core Breach Podcast. If you want to contribute to the show, let us know on the Facebook page, or you can email us at warpcorebreachpodcast@gmail.com.
Hi, this is Dave Griffin. What card would I create for Star Trek Attack Wing if I could? I think the card that would make the biggest impact to Star Trek Attack Wing would be a working photon torpedo card. As they exist today, to make them work, you have to really build around them. And I'm looking for a card that you can just slap on any ship and that'll give it some punch every once in a while. So that being the case, my card is 7 points, 6 dice, range 1 to 3, requires no target lock, and puts 2 time tokens on the card. If you fire it at range 1, you take damage to your own hull 1 point, and you can fire it from the front or rear arc. I think this card would allow almost any ship to have a photon torpedo that provides enough damage to scare even larger ships, and something that you wouldn't have to spend a lot of time to build around. It's a no-brainer. You just slap it on your ship for an extra 7 points, admittedly a lot, but it also does a lot for you. Thanks, and see you next week.